But as a group, after being dropped, did you then decide to part ways, or try and continue afterwards?
What happened then was we decided, because we had moved on from management, we were on our third, and we were trying to get Johnny Wright. He was meeting with us in the city.
Oh, so in case people don't know, he was the manager of NSYNC. Is that the same Johnny Wright, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and mainly with Justin Timberlake's manager now?
Yeah. So he wanted to sign the group. Kevin had decided he didn't want to be a part anymore. Sam wanted to be a part of the music business, but more on the business. I don't know if everybody just got scared from what happened and didn't think they didn't believe in themselves anymore, maybe. So then there was just me and Mark. And Johnny Wright wanted to sign me as a solo artist and let Mark be on it, but not be the main guy. He's like, just like what Andre had said, he's like, he can be on it, because I'm like, that's my boy, man, you know? And so Johnny started flying me out and doing demos, and he was going to sign me as a solo artist. So that was the direction it was supposed to go. But my drinking got in the way. Yeah, I was depressed. I was used to singing and being around these guys that were my brothers. And now just in a whirlwind, all of a sudden, I'm going from touring and having an album out to being a solo artist working on a new album with new producers I'd never worked with before. I didn't get to work with my Hamza Lee, who still lives in Oklahoma today, that I work with. It scared the hell out of me, man. And so, yeah, I got a little out of control with my drinking. I got wasted one of those nights in the studio, and actually told me to go back to the hotel and just try to relax and rest. I told her then, she knew, and she said she understood. I said I was scared. I was depressed. I didn't know any people. And, you know, inside, I'm still this chubby guy that didn't really get much attention unless I was singing on a stage.
Yeah.
So I was afraid about a lot of things. I was really unsure of my future. And I went home after that. I said, I'm not ready. I can't do it yet. And that's all she wrote on that. So, and then for years after that, I continued to drink, but I also continued to work on music. I was recording song after song after song. So I've got a lot of songs in the vault, I guess is what everybody wants to call it.
Yeah.
All the way now. I've recorded some songs since I've gotten sober. The group actually got back together a few times. I don't know if you wanted to go there, but in 2010, I had a show offer in Hawaii to go and sing Color Me Bad. They were going to do Bryan Abrams, lead vocalist of Color Me Bad, and perform out there with some other artists. All for One was one of them. There were several groups out there. And I called up Mark and asked him if he wanted to go. And of course, as soon as you hear that there's money to be made, he was down. He was like, he had given up too, pretty much. He gave up. I still wanted to do it, so I had been working on it, and that's why I got the offer show. But I asked Mark to do it, and then I wanted to ask Kevin to do it, and so it ended up being a Color Me Bad show.
Okay.
And then we were together for a few more years. There was a lot of turbulence. It was a bad decision to make, honestly, because there was some animosity. There was some things going on that just, the business kind of ruined our relationships. I'll just say that.
And after those shows and things, did you feel as if you needed to separate to get yourself in the right state before you could go back into focus on music and stuff?
I had tried a few times, but honestly, and you hear these stories over and over again, you do it, but you don't really do it wholeheartedly. You're trying to make people, relax a little bit. They're afraid you're spinning out of control. And so you go 30 days here, however long, right? So I did it a couple of times. And then I spent 6 months in a facility in LA, Laurel Canyon to be exact. And I did 6 months and drank the day I got out. 6 months I spent away from my family and hurt my daughters and my wife to get sober, and then failed. So then you talk about depression and a lot of things, because I knew that my alcohol was really causing some problems and hurting a lot of people cared about and that cared about me.
Yeah.
So a few years more go by with me trying to quit, slipping. I was a binge drinker, so I'd go months without drinking. But then if I had a drink for 3 or 4 days, you know what I'm saying? And they were bad, like going to jail bad, getting into fights, and, you know, just nonsense that wouldn't happen if I wasn't drinking. After the push that made TMZ with Mark, I decided to, I wanted to get some help. And I was approached by someone about doing Dr. Phil. And so that was a really scary experience, but I figured, and I told my wife, and she was down with me to do it. She was ready for me to put it behind me too. Maybe she knew that this was the time it was really going to happen. I don't know. I've never even actually asked her that question, but there was just something in me. I knew that I was never going to take another drink. I only went in for 2 months in this place called Oceans. And I learned a lot of things that I didn't know before, things about myself, you know, eating disorders. I was a really big guy, right? And there's pictures out there where I look anorexic. It's because I was going through a lot of things, bulimia, like, because I was afraid of getting fat again. You know what I'm saying? So I had a lot of issues going on that I've gotten straightened out. And I'm in my 3rd year of sobriety, which is a miracle. But I told my daughters and my wife, I said, if I do this, it won't happen again. And I haven't. And I don't plan on ever taking a drink ever again. So that's part of it, is I want to take my music and use it as a platform to maybe speak to other musicians. Are dying, man. They're dying. Lots of people are everywhere with COVID, but, you know, musicians, there's a lot of artists out there that struggle with mental illnesses and things. Artists are just that way, and afraid to ask for help, and they end up either overdosing or killing themselves. I was going to be those guys if I didn't get myself together. It's hard to be this age and to go, wow, I wasted a lot of years. But at the same time, I have to say, God allowed me to go through these things in order to teach me and mold me into the kind of person that I was put here to be. And I couldn't talk to people and help them if I had never been through it. So I'm still married. My daughters just walked by me. I got teen daughters. Oh God. I am definitely the boss of this house.
Definitely. I mean, so my day.
I'm sorry. I know I'm talking too much, man.
No. So my day job, I'm a mental health therapist, and but most of my patients are under 19, although I've worked with adults and parents as well. So, dealing with, you know, anxiety, depression, PTSD, phobias, and things like that. So, a lot of what you say, it's understandable, resonates. That and you know, when you started off briefly talking about your childhood experience and those early traumas not being dealt with and just being parked aside, you know, and those are the types of things that, and even when you made that decision not to sign with Uptown, it was, from the outside, you're like, wow, you've lost the deal. But when you studied, it's perfect sense, because that sense of loss and abandonment, and it's like, I've got a family here, I'm not going to do what's happened to me. So, and I think part of why I've been doing this was for us to listen to people who have been famous and who have gone through struggles, but have come out, and almost as a way to motivate and encourage others, the rest of us, saying, look, if these guys who have been in the industry, made lots of money, have struggled and come through it, it means that we all can go through struggles, but also come out of it. So your story is inspirational, and I know, as I said, 3 years and counting, and it's really something that I hope our audience are listening to and understanding that it's step by step, day by day, and stuff.
And you hit it dead on. That's my wife and I talk. It's there's abandonment issues there, PT trauma. My father was murdered. He was shot in my grandmother's house, and then to go through having some violent parents, being blood flying and cops come in. You know, I actually at 5 shot a gun that was in the car. I didn't even know we had a gun. I thought it was a toy. Pow. And put a hole like right next to where my sister was. And I'm sad to say I wasn't thinking, oh God, that could have killed my sister. I'm thinking, oh God, they're going to kill me when they can get back in the car, because they got out of the car for a minute. Just a lot of happiness, a lot of turmoil. And you're exactly right with the family thing. I didn't want to mess with that. I didn't want to mess with it.
Yeah, and so that's why, as I said, you know, you know, my hope is always that as people are watching, that they understand that these struggles can happen to all of us, and you know, getting help, it's the one thing. Whether, you know, within the Black community, we're probably the worst when it comes to seeking help, and that's where we struggle more with everyone struggles. But as a community, Black communities across the world, whether you're in Africa, the US, or the UK, we struggle a lot more because it seems more of a taboo to talk about, and you tend to think, well, maybe I'll go to church and talk to my cousin and I'll be fine. But it's a very different thing when you have a non-judgmental professional who can listen to what you're saying, start to pick out areas about, well, have you dealt with this? What did that mean to you? What does that mean for you to you know, to feel like you weren't loved or taken care of, and how to really get the healing, you know. And then once you've gone the healing, it's a lot easier to move forward, especially when you're dealing with PTSD. You know, once you change the narrative, it becomes easy to let go and just move forward and stuff. So I appreciate, you know, the honesty and what you've been saying.
I know it's kind of heavy, but that's part of my story, and those powerful things that I feel like I was allowed to go through so I could share them with people. I have a motto. It's basically, I guess you call it a motto. It's not the mistakes you make that determine who you are. It's what you learn from them.
Yeah.
And I hold that like close, because I knew that if I could get sober, I could be the father and the husband that I was supposed to be all those years, but that I could also turn all of that badness into some goodness for somebody else.
Yeah.
And if I flip it like that, that's my reward. You know?
Yeah. No,
by the way, counseling.
Yes, I mean, but as I said, most of the work, because I'm here in the UK, and I've specialized a lot with teenagers and young parents. Pardon?
Because I drank all those years, and you don't mature from the time you start. I'm pretty much a teenager, so I'm right there for you.
Yeah, no, but as I said, it's you know, with teenagers, they self-harm. So you mentioned drinking. Some people self-harm, and it is a sense of distraction, numbing the pain to help change. You know, it's like you've got a pain here, so you step your foot, and all of a sudden that pain disappears there because this is distracting you. But then eventually that disappears, and then the pain comes back, and that tends to become it. So, and when I treat young people or anyone who struggles with, say, self-harm, I don't focus on that, because if you focus on, say, the drinking and try and stop the drinking, well, the drinking is a distraction. So let's focus on the actual symptoms. What is it that you're trying to distract yourself from? So we focus on that. And once you're able to deal with that, it becomes easier to let go of, say, self-harming or the drinking or the destructive things that people turn to. Because if you don't deal with the underlying stuff, so unfortunately, as I said, if you just go say, let's try and get you sober and not deal with the underlying stuff, what happens is eventually it'll come back.
That's why I'm talking about these things the way I am, because I'm newbie in being sober. And so it was that got me sober, addressing those things.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those self-harm kids myself. Yeah, and I understand it. So, and I understand taking the detour, saying we don't need to focus on that. We need to focus on this, because that's why you were doing that.
Yeah.
My wife, man, y'all, I've heard this a lot, and part of that is the reason why I'm sober. So I appreciate your words too. And yeah, I want to use that. I mean, I feel like that's what I'm meant to do. The music, I'm always going to be doing the music, but I want to use it. I'm having to learn how to go and figure out, where I could go and speak to kids or adults or whatever, going to a facility and just telling my story and saying, look, I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think I could do it. I was ready to end it. And my wife, and she believed in me when I didn't believe in me. She loved me when I didn't love myself.
Yeah.
So I know how dark it can get. And if I can get sober as bad as I was, and when I say bad, it was bad.
Yeah.
Anybody can. You just have to.
Yeah. No, well, yeah. And I tell people that the one thing that I would say that people who struggle with is identity. So identity is, as a child, when you have, your parents, that they raise you with a sense of identity, who you are, and raise you to be the best. When that's fractured, and then you're seeking identity in a place where you're not validated, you're not encouraged, you don't know who you are, then you're seeking, that's where you're going out and finding friends, you're finding gangs, you're finding other areas to seek some form of identity. But when you don't find it in there, then you start to do this very harmful, destructive things in order to say, look, I don't know who I am or whatnot. So that is, when I'm working with kids, I'm just thinking that, wow, it comes back from the attachment issues going, and it continues. And we go straight back to that. I go straight back to what was it like when you were 5 and 6, and keep going up and rewriting to, taking the time to get there. Because if you don't deal with that, you have to help them get a sense of who they are, and not, and almost like, who do you want to be? So forget who you were told, which has not been helpful. Let's change the narrative, and let's start to believe it.
What I am is a survivor. That's what I am.
Yeah.
Get through it. And now I've got a different perspective, and I'm focused on those exact things. I'm kind of having a hard time in a few areas, because with my mother, I want to talk about some of these things because they matter. At least I've been taught that they matter. And just by the way I feel, still they matter. And she won't. She acts like those things didn't happen. She just wants to block them out. And every time she does that, it just stabs me in the heart.
Yeah, but one of the things also is there's a sense of guilt, and that's because it's not that you can't see, but there's a sense of, I could have done more, but I couldn't. So by addressing it, by accepting it, it's a sense of, yes, I have to admit my guilt. I let you down, and that's not easy. So when I work with kids and people, and I say, look, I almost do a sort of a tree and say, here's your parents. Now look at what they had to deal with, what shaped them, and how that shaped who you are. And so you have to almost look at them with empathy. Like, it's not as if they were just a bad parent who just didn't. They had no choice. It wasn't something that they could control. Then we almost go back to the grandparents, how much they influenced your parents to influence you and stuff. So it is that ability to say, okay, you know what, I can accept that, and as long as I can accept myself and who I am and where I'm going to go, it becomes easy to sort of let go and give them the space and the timing to be able to say, I can confess that I messed up, but you're not going to judge me for that, and you're not going to blame me for that. But it's a challenge and a difficulty and stuff.
You I said, are you psychic? Because you're telling me, man. I'm not even kidding. Like, we're not on talking terms right now because, I love her. I know she loves me, but we just don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. And there's a lot more going on than just that. But we're going through the give them space thing right now because I don't know what else to do. And I want to do the right thing. I don't want to hurt anybody, but I also don't want to hurt myself anymore,
Yeah.
So that's the way I've approached it with anyone that I've tried to make an amends with, is that I am truly sorry for the things I've done that hurt people that love me and that I love. That doesn't take those things away, but at least those people can know that you didn't mean it. You didn't just want that to happen.
Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.
You know.